Do you think personally that you could sell 20 million worth of real estate next year?
100%.
What's the one biggest mistake in terms of reflection where you go, shit, if I could go back and fix that, I'd be in a different place right now?
Return on investment in marketing. The biggest thing is if an agent is able to sell themselves to you, then they're going to be able to sell your home.
People who have maybe bought and sold a couple of houses with an agent and that agent's done well, they're just going to go back to that agent. If someone's doing it for the first time, what are people missing when it comes to selecting an agent?
It's important in real estate that people know who you are, right? Because then how are they going to call you to know that you're the real estate agent?
Time to get fired up. Yeah, I'm getting fired up.
Your thoughts can become plans, plans can become actions, and actions become a reality. We share powerful stories and simple steps to fast track your business and personal growth. Are you ready to make it happen? Let's get fired up. At just 17 years old, he entered the real estate industry and spent his first 6 months working entirely for free. From the very beginning, Jordan set out a goal that he's going to start his own business within 5 years. And by 21, he achieved that goal. He contracted to a local agency, and over the past 5 years, he's been involved in over 400 sales transactions, gaining valuable experience and establishing a strong foundation in the industry. Starting his business was far from easy. During the first 6 months, he didn't even earn a single cent, drained his savings, and resorted to delivering Uber Eats to pay his bills. Good on you, Jordan. Despite those challenges, he's built a thriving six-figure business in under 2 years, and along the way, founded a business networking group, Redlands Coast Networking, and is the co-host of a podcast called Day One Energy, both which have allowed him to connect with like-minded professionals and share the lessons he's learned. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm pumped up for this episode because we're going to talk about two of my favorite things, one of those being real estate and the other being running your own business. And my guest today, Jordan, does both of those things. So thanks for joining the show, mate.
Thank you so much for having me on. Super excited.
Cool. I want to just kick straight off the bat and I want to know, how did you even get started in real estate?
So I was a personal trainer. I was managing a gym at the time, and I was only 17, and one of my clients was a real estate agent. I used to see him pull up in his Mercedes and, all this nice stuff. Yeah. And I just asked him one day, I'd always had a bit of an interest in it, but I'd never thought I'd have a career in it. And I just asked him, I said, what's it like? He said, well, come down, I'll give you a job. And sort of went from there. I volunteered for him for 6 months, didn't make a single cent. I started off just doing open homes with him for the first 2 months and then working then 4 days a week for the other 4 months. And then, after 6 months of working for free, it's a bit hard to say no to someone when they ask you for a job. So
yeah. So 6 months free work, and then when did you start getting paid for what you were doing?
So I started getting paid right as COVID hit. So I only really had a job for about a month and a half.
Right.
And then they said, look, we're probably going to have to stop paying you again. But that only went for probably another 6 weeks. And then that's when we started to see the effects of COVID with real estate, where it just went insane. And yeah, we had some massive years. Yeah.
So when did you go from working for someone to working for yourself?
So it was about 3.5 years in. I set a goal when I first started. My dream's always to have a business. I didn't know what that business was. I just knew I always wanted to be a business owner. So I set a goal that after I'd started in real estate, I obviously realised it's what I wanted to do. That was where my passion lied. 5 years. So 3.5 years in, I started the business with the help of my current business mentor. He gave me a bit of a push. I didn't have a whole lot in savings, and so I just said, stuff it, make the jump. So I made the jump, and again, for the first probably 7 months of that, I didn't really make any money. That tax year, I was actually negative. So I was just trying to hustle, build up the business. I said to you the other day when we met, I probably didn't work as hard as I wish I had of within the first 6 months. But even then, I was still starting at 7 o'clock in the morning, finishing up at 6:30 at night, and then from there going to then do Uber Eats so that I could pay my bills.
Yeah.
And doing that till about 10:30, 11:30 at night, and then just doing the same thing every single day for 7 days a week.
So you mentioned something there around business mentor? Is that someone you knew? Like, how did you find this person and why is that important?
Yeah, so Alex Tinknell is his name. So we got into real estate at the exact same time. The only difference was I started working for someone. He started a business with no experience.
Right.
Never worked in real estate in his life. So we met one night. He had a property on the market. I had a client who was interested in it. It was 7:30 at night. I called him. I said, "Hey, mate, have you got a floor plan?" He drew up this dodgy floor plan on paint, but it worked. And so ever since then, that was, 6 years ago. Ever since then, we kept in contact. My best mate decided he was going to get into real estate. He then went to work for Alex and it all just sort of came together. And one day he said, "Dude, just make the jump. Contract to me, start your own business and let's go." I said, "Awesome."
Oh, so that's the structure that it is?
Yes.
You're contracted to him. Okay,
Yep.
cool. So in terms of like business outlay, in terms of cash to get set up, you didn't need anything or very little to do?
Yeah, not a great amount.
Yeah.
Not a great amount. He gave me a bit of a bonus to help with marketing and that sort of thing to get that out there, obviously. So where I was, I had a bit of a rough start, I guess you could say, where for 3.5 years I worked for someone else. But it's important in real estate that people know who you are, right? Because then how are they going to call you to know that you're the real estate guy?
Mm-hmm.
No one knew who I was for 3.5 years because I worked under someone else. I was selling all the properties, I was listing properties, but I was nowhere to be seen anywhere. So I needed some money to be able to build up a name. When I left the company I was with, they took all of my social medias, they took my database of about 2,500 contacts.
Yep.
They took everything, so I had to start again. So there was, I poured about, in the first 6 months, about $20,000 into marketing just to get everything back out there again.
Yeah. So real estate, it's one of those industries, it's like, I don't want to use the term cowboy, but it can be very hard to cut through the good and the bad.
100%.
So my question is, people who have maybe bought and sold a couple of houses with an agent and that agent's done well, they're just going to go back to that agent. If someone's doing it for the first time, what are people missing when it comes to selecting an agent? What should they be looking for? What should they be looking out for?
Communication is a massive thing. If the communication isn't there, I mean, how do you know that they're going to be able to do the rest of the job? But I think the biggest thing is if an agent is able to sell themselves to you, then they're going to be able to sell your home. If they can't sell themselves to you, if they can't sell the marketing and advertising they're trying to sell to you, then how can you really make sure that they're going to be able to negotiate the best price for your property?
Yeah.
So it really comes down to real estate isn't selling property as a real estate agent. Real estate agents sell themselves.
Right. So are you saying like it's relationship? I mean, how important is that? Is the relationship only existing when you're in the house?
Yeah, relationship and trust.
Yeah.
Our business is a big relationship business. A lot of my business comes from referrals and that sort of thing, and that's because I've built good relationships with a lot of my clients. And it's important that you're not just calling them all the time saying, "Hey, you're ready to sell. Hey, you're ready to sell." All right, I'm keeping them up to date with what's happening in the market around them and information relative to their property as well. So
Yeah. With the real estate market since COVID, it's crazy. I made some decisions during COVID where I thought things might crash. So I exited a property pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I also bought a property pretty quickly. So the one I exited has shot up in value and the one I bought has shot up in value. And that's just the market, right? What are you seeing in the space at the moment? Are you seeing people struggling? Are you seeing people selling to release capital? Are you seeing a drive in investment? What's the kind of your take on it all?
It's a bit of a mixture. Right now, as we sit, we're seeing a lot more investors enter back into the market again. The biggest thing that I've noticed recently is a lot of baby boomers upsizing.
Upsizing. Okay.
And they're paying cash. So a lot of the properties that we've got over $1.1 million at the moment, they're our fastest selling properties. They're going like that. And a lot of people will say that that's because these baby boomers have been through booms before and they can see another one coming. We're on the verge of where interest rates are going to start to drop again. And that's when people start to enter the market. There's more competition within buyers, which we just saw happen with COVID. And the market just went insane. Competition drives the prices up, creates fear of missing out, that sort of thing.
So I had a question written down and I was keen to get your take out on it. It's
Yeah.
like, do you think personally that you could sell 20 million worth of real estate next year?
100%.
Quite easily?
Yeah, this year I've done just over 10 million.
Okay.
And we're looking to double that quite easily. Where I came from a team where I was selling $80 million of real estate a year. So it's definitely doable for sure.
I mean, if I go to my letterbox right now and open it up, I'm going to pull out a bunch of calendars, magnets, and hey, did you know we
Yeah.
sold it? So I get that shit every day. I'm sure people listening to this do as well. How do you actually cut through that noise without being just another brochure in the letterbox saying I'm Jordan?
Social media is a big one.
Okay.
And for me, a big thing specifically recently has been authenticity. Being yourself, being relatable, I think people can see through the bullshit. So when you're on there and you're just trying to talk yourself up, people don't like that. It's authenticity and it's just getting in front of the people, right? Letters in the letterbox is good for branding, that sort of thing. But most people go, ugh, Jordan, put it in the bin, you know? So it's getting in front of people and building that relationships. Relationships is really where it is.
What's the one biggest mistake in terms of reflection where you go, shit, if I could go back and fix that, I'd be in a different place right now?
Return on investment in marketing.
In marketing? Yep.
Yeah, marketing and advertising. I spent a lot of money on social media, which, don't get me wrong, is great. It's a great aspect of a business. It's a great advertising route to go down. But I spent a lot of money on a lot of professional stuff that no one was really interested in. And again, return on investment, I spent around $30,000 on social media advertising, and I didn't get a single listing from it.
Right. Was that the measurement for you to go, look, if I'm getting a return on investment here, I'm going to be spending money, I want listings?
Yeah, that was where I made the switch, because I looked at how much I actually put in my pocket and how much I'd invested into the business, and then I thought, well, there's something wrong here, you know? So yeah, that was probably the pivoting point. I looked at that and I went, okay, well, we need to start looking at return on investment. And making sure I'm getting as much dollar for dollar sort of thing at least. And yeah, it's since doing that, we've made a massive...
Who's doing this social media work? Are you doing it or is someone else doing it?
I have pivoted into doing it myself now. I've bought like the camera equipment, the gimbals, the mics, all that sort of stuff to do quite a lot myself. With my property videos, I do pay someone to do that, but I was paying a media company to do a lot of the professional videos and stuff for me, which helped grow followers, but it didn't help get listings.
Gotcha.
Which ultimately that's where we make our money.
So if we park that marketing, so there was marketing, it's how you did it, it's what you spent on where, when, why, and also how you measured the result you were looking for. So let's park that for a second. What else are you doing in terms of investing and improving yourself? Like, talk us through that.
Investing in improving myself. That's a good question, actually. Probably in actually improving myself, not a great amount. More, I'm investing time as opposed to money, per se. One thing that, again, has been a great pivotal thing for me is a gratitude list that my mentor showed me. And it was 5 things that you like the smell of, taste of, sight of, these sorts of things. Because I got to this point where it felt like every 2 weeks I was burning out. I was getting to the end of this, fortnight, and I was like, I can't do anymore. And I'd have to take a couple of days off, and I was just pushing too hard, and it was just simply because I wasn't actually taking any time for myself. So doing at least one thing from this list every single week has given me, I guess, more energy to be able to then put more effort into my work. So more investment in terms of my personal time has improved my business.
Okay, so we've got marketing, number 1, personal investment into yourself, which I think comes down to structure, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't do 7-day weeks, 15-hour days, because it's going to burn out. You're going to suffer, right? And even if you're not suffering, guess what? Your customer's not going to get the best Jordan turn up.
Exactly.
Then mistakes start
you start
to happen.
to miss stuff, and it crashes.
Cool. So marketing, structure, What else are you missing? And I ask that in such a way that if you think about the best real estate agent in your area or in Australia, what do you see that they do that you don't do?
Community involvement. And that is my next step.
What do you mean by that?
There's a particular agent in an area just outside of where I work, and he is massive within the community. So he does a lot with the local sporting fields. He hosts movie nights in the park, toy drives, that sort of thing. And he's always hosting events, going to the school events, all that sort of thing. He's in the community. So people know him, and he's built his business off of community engagement and supporting the local community and that sort of thing. So getting into the community more so that more people are actually seeing me in person. Back to the last episode where I said getting in front of people is ultimately how you separate yourself from the rest.
Yep.
Getting in front of people in the community, I think, is going to be a massive game changer for me.
If it's cool with you, I'll give you some advice and some coaching tips just based on what you said. And I highly recommend you read a book called The Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. There is a section in there that talks about the 5 buckets. And these are the 5 buckets that you must do in order to excel in what you're doing. And the first bucket is knowledge, skills, resources, network, and reputation. And I think if we found the number 1 real estate agent in Australia, they're going to have all 5 buckets filled, right? So you might be challenged a bit at the moment with resources. Don't have $1 million for an advertising campaign. The network might not be as extensive as you want, community involvement and that type of thing. But most importantly is the reputation. And I'll give you another example of someone who's got all 5 buckets filled is Elon Musk. He's got all of that, right?
Yeah.
So if he brings out anything tomorrow, a pink paper cup, he's going to sell millions of them because he's got all of that stuff filled. So I think for you, just based on what you're saying, step number 1 is you need a very clear plan in place. And if you are going to invest in marketing, how much, when, how, and why? Because otherwise you'll just be kind of, I'll do in February depending on what happens in January. And I'll spend in March depending on how February and January go. And it's always just what if. And I think if you set a 12-month plan against this is what I'm going to do, this is how much I'm going to invest, it then comes down to measuring. And if you see the measurement and the results, you'll know where the results are coming from to double down on that. Skills and knowledge is like, what are you potentially missing from a business point of view, which is how to run the business successfully, profitably, where you still get balance and lifestyle, but also you're building something in a competitive space. You're going to have to level up from the other people who you're competing with. And then around that reputation, I really think that that's an important piece, particularly in everyone's industry. But you're not behind the computer of an e-commerce brand that no one knows who owns the business. It's your face. You're physically turning up. And I'll tell you why this is important, because there is a real estate agent in my area who's got billboards, bus stops, brochures, fridge magnets, pull-up banners. They're at the sports field. They're at the sausage sizzle. They're at Bunnings. And their reputation is shit. So advertise as much as you want, but we all point at the billboard going, don't use them.
Yeah.
So these types of things that I think you should be looking at is the plan, the marketing as it relates to your development. Yeah. How are you going to do that? Who are you going to seek out? What advice are you going to take from who? What events are you going to go to? How are you going to distribute your message and your information? And try and find something that's differentiates you in the market. And sometimes one of the best ways to do that, instead of going, I'm this, I'm that, I can offer this, I can offer that, do the reverse. I don't sell houses over 2 million. I don't work outside of Cleveland. I don't spend my money on marketing in these areas because I want to give that back to you. I'd rather buy mango trays every week than put fridge magnets in everyone's letterbox.
Yeah.
So that would be like kind of my advice and recommendation is start through the plan. You're in a big marketing space. So what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? And then the skills and knowledge. Because if you get the skills and knowledge, people are going to respect that. You'll build the reputation. You'll make more sales. Now you've got resources. And with those resources, fundamentally money, now you can buy support. You can buy a social media manager. So you're not doing it because it's not where you shouldn't be spending your time there. You should be spending time building relationships, selling houses. So how can you start to now pay to get the service and the scale and the speed that you want? And I think from there, like after doing that for 12 months, and it's funny because I just did an episode on this before around annual planning. When you get to the end of 2025 and look back, you'll ask yourself those questions. Have I met my sales targets? No, I fell short. Cool. New target for next year. Have I built my network? Yep, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done this. Have I stuck to my marketing budget? Yes, I have. What's the results? And then you can actually take something of substance and go, now I'm ready to build up on that and double down on it.
Yep.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Helpful?
No, very, very good. Thank you.
For anybody watching this, in early stage businesses is the hardest. For me, a couple of businesses, the one that is the oldest is the easiest to run because I've got experience. It's 16 years of problems, mistakes, successes, wins, failures, learnings, and just improvements. Like that 1% improvement per year is huge over 16 years. So look, we wish you all the best. I'd love to get you back in a year or so and we'll play snippets from this episode and go, remember what you said? What have you done?
Yeah.
And let's see if he follows through with
I
it.
look forward to it.
Thanks for joining. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it. If people want to find you, follow you, just quickly, how do they do that?
Head over to, I guess, Instagram. My main Instagram account is jordan.rosenthal.properties.
Cool. And we'll put a link down below as well, but reach out to Jordan. I'm sure he'll take any questions on all things real estate and business if you're into it. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Catch you later. If you've enjoyed this episode, then subscribe on YouTube or follow our podcast on your favorite platform. We drop a new episode every week. You'll be doing us a massive favor. If you know someone that would benefit from listening to this, then share it with them. You'll be doing them a massive favor. And if you want the tips, tools, and resources to support you on this journey, then join our exclusive Facebook community and follow our socials. You'll be doing yourself a massive favor.